Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Today, Dolph Ziggler's brother filed a lawsuit against Tony Khan, CM Punk, and AEW. I don't have the actual lawsuit. I don't need it. We've gone through this Ryan Nemeth stuff before. It's more of the same, but we're going to just talk about it and what Fightful has on the subject so far. So the lawsuit apparently was filed February the 14th. So whenever you're hearing this, you're probably about a week or two behind. So it says from the lawsuit, Ryan Nemeth is a successful actor, comedian, and stuntman. So he's lying right off the jump. He's not successful at any of these things. What does success mean? That you appeared in one? Because I'm pretty sure you appeared as a stuntman in some television shows or whatever. You tried comedy. But you can't put that you are, an alleged actor, an alleged comedian, an alleged stuntman. Ryan Nemeth has no talents. He's trying to get people to believe that he's got 3. He's got none. His talents amount to 0. So he's lying right off the jump. It says Nemeth also followed his older brother Nick's career and has established himself as a star performer on the professional wrestling circuit. Another lie. Star where? What circuit? Have I never heard of this circuit? Is this circuit in the room with the rest of us? Continuing. Nemeth was under contract with AEW. The first fact in this thing already. AEW is owned by Shad and Tony Khan. They're on a roll. That's two. That's 2 facts. Shad Khan is also the owner of the NFL franchise, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's 3 in a row. He's on a roll. When his son Tony managed to alienate most everyone with the Jaguars organization, Tony was moved to a leadership role in the Khan family-owned Fulham Football Club. Now wait 1 bloody second. When his son Tony managed to alienate most everyone within the Jacksonville Jaguars organization, including star NFL players, Tony Khan is causing problems in the Jacksonville Jaguars locker room. The players don't like him. Now, I will say this. On the lie meter, this one kind of goes into fact. I personally witnessed Tony Khan argue with a football player, NFL football player for all you soccer guys, on Twitter. I personally saw this. So there's at least one NFL football player who is not a fan of Tony Khan. I viewed that one time. Then they said Tony ended up mismanaging Fulham, leading to multiple lawsuits against the club. I'm sorry. Since he was a child, Tony loved professional wrestling and had an obsession with certain wrestlers. Ugh. Yikes. That's a camera on pause. Tony was something to do, safely away from the family's other ventures. Tony serves as AEW CEO. Phil Brooks was another wrestler under contract with AEW and a member of AEW's management team. Tony had a deep fascination with Brooks. Deep fascination? Ugh. That's one way to explain it. Tony had a deep fascination with Brooks. Brooks undertook a campaign to terrorize and intimidate plaintiff, including physical assault. AEW and Tony Khan did nothing to protect Ryan Nemeth and other wrestling performers from despicable conduct on the part of Brooks. AEW turned a blind eye to Brooks' conduct because of Tony's deep admiration for Brooks and because he was their most popular wrestling performer. At Brooks and Tony's insistence, AEW and Tony Khan have undertaken an effort to, quote, blackball Nemeth. So it says we, but it's supposed to mean he can never work in the wrestling business. Do they think people are retarded? Right? This is Tony Khan sought to blackball Ryan Nemeth so that he can never work in the wrestling business. Ryan Nemeth has been on Impact pretty much every week since he left AEW. He literally was on TNA this week. I literally started this video with the gimmick that he's running with in TNA. Just yelling, "My brother!" That's his gimmick. If he's blackballed from the wrestling business, how is he in TNA? How is he on national television? Now, I know Access it's not a strong network. It's not TBS or TNT or USA or, anything like that. But it's national television. It's on cable. He's not been blackballed. Now, if they had some evidence that Tony Khan attempted to blackball him, okay. But to say that he's been blackballed or that he can never work that would assume that he doesn't have a job right now, which he does, unfortunately. So I guess they tried to truncate it. They're going to tell the story once more. We're going to go through the story to see if there's any differences in the story. It says, at all relevant times mentioned herein, Brooks was also an employee of AEW, serving a role in executive leadership. In early 2023, Brooks assaulted and battered two fellow wrestlers known by the stage names Matt and Nick Jackson. Brooks is known to have an uncontrollable temper and often lashes out in violent tirades against others. Thus, defendants were on notice regarding Brooks' violent proclivities. In early 2023, Brooks assaulted and battered. Man, he really mixed those guys up, didn't he? He whooped their ass. He assaulted them and battered them. Did he cover them in salt and fry them as well? Apparently, he did everything just short of that. But why would you use their stage names and not their real names? This is an actual legal document, apparently, that was filed in a courtroom. Why wouldn't you use their real names? Next, violent proclivities. Next, rather than removing Brooks from AEW, Tony made the decision to merely suspend Brooks for a few months. Brooks is one of AEW's most popular wrestlers, and Khan did not feel that Brooks could be removed without a substantial loss in profit for AEW. Further, Khan has a very deep personal affinity for Brooks. So we went from fascination to admiration to a deep personal affinity. I'm sorry for all the dead air, but look at the words they're using in this thing. Deep affinity. Khan made the conscious decision to keep Brooks as part of AEW, although he knew that Brooks is prone to lashing out in violent episodes and to injure others. Beyond his deep feelings for Brooks, Khan represented to AEW's executives and wrestlers that the TBS network had produced the AEW Collision show contingent upon Brooks' involvement as the show's star. This was all the more reason for Khan to keep Brooks in spite of his violent propensities. Now, this is actually a good argument that CM Punk was, violent, getting into clashes in the locker room, but the company was protecting him because they wanted to run the show. They wanted to run Collision, which, of course, increases AEW's visibility, right? Okay, so that's a good argument. During his suspension, for unknown reasons, Brooks made it known that he despised Nemeth. Nemeth did nothing to Brooks whatsoever, but Brooks made it well known that he was angry with Nemeth. Brooks has a history for taking violent action against others for no reason. No reason at all. No reason at all. On April 16th, 2023, Nemeth contacted executives within AEW to tell his employer that he was worried Brooks would come back to the wrestling circuit following his suspension and assault Nemeth. On June 21st, 2023, following Brooks' return to the wrestling circuit, he assaulted Nemeth in the male talent locker room. In a menacing manner, Brooks shouted at Nemeth, "Do we have a fucking problem? Do we need to step outside and handle this like men?" He makes him sound like he's fucking Doc Holliday. You want to step outside? You want to handle this like a fucking man? Oh my God. Oh, have mercy. Have mercy, Jesus. Oh. Nemeth was cornered by Brooks and did everything he could in order to de-escalate the situation. Whoa, Kimosabe. The next day, Nemeth was contacted by Tony Schiavone and other executives from AEW to explain what happened. Nemeth calmly and factually explained that he was attacked by Brooks in the locker room. Following the assault, nothing happened to Brooks as far as punishment from AEW. It is well known in the wrestling industry that, quote, benching a wrestler is a form of punishment. That is, the wrestling performer is not scheduled for a match and thus is not paid. Benching a wrestler is a customary manner of punishing a wrestler. Okay, this is legit, all right? So it leaves out quite a bit. Now, we're not done with this, but it says that he didn't do anything to CM Punk and that, CM Punk just randomly decided to show up and punch him, or assault him, violently assault him. The idea that maybe he tweeted something at Punk, maybe discussing that Ryan Nemeth is friends with the aforementioned Jackson brothers. Nah, all that's left out. Again, you can write anything in a lawsuit, bro. You can literally conjure up whatever wickedness you want in these lawsuits. This thing is incredibly disingenuous. Incredibly disingenuous. But at least he's right about benching a wrestler is a form of punishment. But only if that wrestler is on a paid per appearance basis. Which it seems, I'm not sure if Nemeth was. He probably was. He was a low card guy. Ring of Honor kind of guy. So he's probably paid per appearance. But most guys who have guaranteed contracts, they get paid anyway, right? So it says, following the incident with Brooks, Nemeth greatly feared being benched by AEW. Nemeth spoke with AEW's in-house counsel and attorneys from Latham and Watkins, outside counsel for AEW. All of the attorneys promised that Nemeth would not be benched. Following his June 22 conversation with Tony Schiavone et al., Nemeth was not booked for a match for over 2 months. Because Nemeth was not booked for matches, his income stream from AEW dried up. More importantly, his popularity and marketability faded from being absent from the professional wrestling circuit. This very successful comedian and actor and stuntman, we all forgot who he was because he was gone for 2 months. His popularity and marketability were definitely damaged. Never asked the question, was he marketable or popular at any point before that? Because the answer would be no. On June 17, 2023, Nemeth again contacted AEW's legal department to complain that he was being punished for doing nothing. It was then that Nemeth discovered the real reason why he was being benched. Brooks had insisted upon this. Because Tony Khan has such a deep admiration for Brooks, bordering on an obsession. Oh, you're my obsession. Never mind. Khan went along with Brooks' desire to ruin Nemeth's career. I'm sure Ryan Nemeth was doing a pretty good job of ruining his own career way before he got to AEW. On August 12, 2023, Nemeth was finally booked for an event in Greensboro, North Carolina. On the morning of August the 12th, Nemeth was walking through the hotel lobby to board a shuttle to the sports arena where the wrestling match would take place. He saw Brooks. Brooks immediately took out his phone and began to text. A moment after that text was sent, Nemeth received a text from AEW supervisor Pat Buck saying that he needed to speak with Nemeth as soon as he got to the arena. Upon arriving at the arena, Nemeth sought out Pat Buck. Buck told Nemeth that he needed to leave the arena immediately and that travel would be arranged for him to fly out on that same day. Now, he's saying that Punk saw him where? In the hotel? In the hotel lobby? So Punk was in the hotel lobby. Ryan Nemeth comes in. He looks at him. I know that who I think it is. And then sends a text to Pat Buck like, yeah, he can't go. Send him home. This kind of flies in the face of it because we was always believed that he showed up to the arena and Punk told him he got to go. Now he's saying, actually, Punk saw me in the hotel lobby and sent a text, and then I got sent home when I got there. I mean, look, whatever. Upon arriving at the arena, Nemeth sought out Pat Buck, blah, blah, blah. He's going to fly out. Nemeth was embarrassed and humiliated in front of other wrestlers who witnessed him being kicked out of the arena. More importantly, fans observed him leaving the arena. Pictures were taken, and the expulsion became viral on social media. The humiliation caused irreparable damage, the marketability and reputation of Nemeth. What was his reputation before this? Who knows? This episode was engineered by Brooks. Brooks demanded that Nemeth be told to leave and that he would be flown out of Greensboro immediately. Khan, for his part, went along with Brooks out of his deep admiration. On August 15th, so we're talking about, 3 days later? Yeah, 3 days later, Nemeth contacted AEW's legal group and complained about being ejected from the event at the direction of Brooks. AEW's lawyers were themselves stunned and could offer no explanation for the conduct of Brooks and Khan. On November 18th, so 3 months later, Nemeth wrestled for the last time for AEW. Now, he forgot the part where Brooks was fired from AEW for, maybe assaulting a different person, which would add to his argument that CM Punk has a history of, violence and assault, that CM Punk was fired in, late August, early September of 2023 for assaulting a different person. I would have put that in here. I don't know. It says on November the 18th, he wrestled his last match. Nemeth continued to follow up with AEW Legal in the hopes of trying to resolve this situation and to avoid further conflict. In a bizarre email, AEW attorney Chris Peck, reached out and threatened legal action against Nemeth and accused him of employing a, quote, ghostwriter in his emails. Now, let's pause right here because I want to take this serious. Chris Peck is the same guy that ended up in this situation with this young lady who was the victim of BJ Whitmer. Remember? So this guy's just like a regular dickhead. His name just keeps coming up in these really bad situations for AEW. It says, on November the 25th, 2024, Brooks left AEW to wrestle for the organization's competitor, WWE. That's not really what occurred, though. He was fired from AEW. Why wouldn't you, if your argument hinges on CM Punk being violent, why would you not mention? Plus, you're writing this lawsuit after the video had come out that Punk assaulted Jack Perry. Technically, he did assault Jack Perry. So, Why wouldn't you use that in your lawsuit? That's weird. That's really weird. Anyway, Khan was heartbroken by the Khan was heartbroken by the departure of Brooks, his idol, and that he adored in every way. Oh my good God. He adored him. Look how cute that is. He's adorable. He adores him. He yearns for him. Do you think Tony smiled every time he came in the room? Oh my God. Ugh. But this was filed on Valentine's Day, so clearly these guys are trying to they're trying to tell us something. His idol, he idolized him. He came to work in a different CM Punk t-shirt every day. He adored in every way. Oh, they're trying to humiliate Tony Khan, bro. I'm actually feeling bad for Tony because this is humiliating. You know, this is absolutely humiliating. Khan was furious with Nemeth. Khan believes that Brooks left AEW because of Nemeth. Well, this is false. Brooks left because he was fired. And he was fired because he assaulted somebody else. What narrative are you going with here? What is the point of writing this lawsuit in this way? It maximizes the embarrassment for Tony Khan, sure. But the facts are actually on your side. You have evidence that CM Punk, Phil Brooks, assaulted another person. You're saying that he assaulted the Young Bucks. That's factual information. We know that he did. And he assaulted Jack Perry, which is factual information. We know that he did. So it's not a strange leap to think that he might have assaulted Ryan Nemeth. And the third time was the charm. Once he assaulted, another person, he had to go. Why would you not write that in that way? Because that supports your argument. To say that he just left, like he walked out the door and never came back, like he hopped on the first thing smoking and said, "See ya," and just left. Like, no, Tony Khan fired him. Tony Khan finally had enough and he fired him. That's weird. So it says the defendants have embarked upon a campaign to blackball Nemeth from professional wrestling. Specifically, Tony Khan blames Nemeth for Brooks leaving AEW and has used his significant resources to make sure that Nemeth can never again make a living in wrestling. The conduct of each of these defendants was malicious in that defendants intended to cause injury to the plaintiff. Defendants acted willfully and with a conscious disregard for the rights of plaintiff. How did Tony Khan try to prevent you from signing that TNA contract? Come on, man. So that's the end of the article. As you can see, it is absolutely full of bunk. There is some merit to the lawsuit, however. CM Punk did assault several people and was not, he was punished for it. It's murky about what's going on with him and Nemeth, whether Punk could remove Nemeth from the venue if he was given some kind of executive producer role where he had the power to use who he wanted to use, or whatever the case may be. Obviously, Nemeth's relationship with the Jacksons, not mentioned, because that would explain the heat between the two parties in the first place. But then again, that stuff might be in the actual lawsuit, like the full document, because I don't have the full document. I just have what Fightful is posted on their free site. So, Ryan Nemeth, woefully untalented brother of Dolph, files a lawsuit with AEW, CM Punk, and Tony Khan. He writes in this lawsuit that Tony Khan essentially was making googly eyes at Punk and is basically in love with him. And this is incredibly embarrassing. But what can one do? He's going to end up getting a payout, a settlement of some kind, at least from AEW and Tony Khan, because they don't want to go to court with this. They don't want to have to go to court and argue all this stuff. You know, a lot of this is subjective anyway. How Tony Khan really feels about CM Punk, we have no idea. It's his subjective opinion that he adored him, was obsessed with him, fascinated with him, admired him. All that stuff is subjective. He may have just been a fan. I mean, is the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers fascinated and admired and obsessed with, I don't know, LeBron James? The star player on the team is like, the guy who owns the New England Patriots. Was he fascinated and obsessed? Did he adore Tom Brady? I mean, when you're the star player on the team, you're the top guy, you get away with a lot. Kobe Bryant got away with being accused of rape. Ben Roethlisberger got away with being accused of rape. Sometimes these kind of things happen. But at least this guy has a solid argument that he can make that Tony Khan and AEW were negligent in handling this situation. So we'll see. He's going to get a hefty, chunk of money. But again, you can just write anything in a lawsuit because there's so many things in here that are just obvious falsehoods or subjective framing of the relationship between Tony Khan and CM Punk. And then blatant falsehoods because the guy currently works in professional wrestling and was not blackballed at all. So, and never mind. I mean, we already know CM Punk was fired. So this thing is not going to trial. It's all about money at this point. He left out the part that he brought up himself the last time we talked about this. It was that Nick Nemeth was offered a payout, right? And then he decided that he wanted that payout, and then the payout was pulled. So that's what this is all about. He left that part out, that he was offered a payout, some kind of contract or whatever, and then it was pulled later on. That would be something I would put in the lawsuit as well. That money is kind of what I wanted, but that's all. Lawsuits are about money, and he's going to get some. But this is pretty embarrassing for Tony Khan. Not too embarrassing for CM Punk, but extremely embarrassing for Tony Khan. I mean, he legitimately wrote, when his son Tony managed to alienate most everyone within the Jaguars organization, Tony was moved to a leadership role in the Khan family-owned Fulham Football Club. Tony ended up mismanaging Fulham, leading to multiple lawsuits against the club. That's embarrassing, right? That's humiliating. And that's a tough one. That's a tough. Ooh, he burning the shit out of that bridge. That bridge is ashes at this point. So it probably won't be long before AEW and Tony Khan settle this thing. It might already. Well, it's not going to be settled yet because it's now public. But it won't be long before it'll probably be settled by April. So, like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.